Welcome back, everyone. In this lesson and the next lesson or two, we want to go over SQL Server Security. Now, this is for some reason a complex topic and confuses people. I actually find it quite, uh, easy and elegant the way Microsoft has set it up, and I hope to be able to get that across to you in these lessons on security. So let's take a look at this little diagram that is actually provided by Microsoft. We have what we refer to as principles, and then we have what are referred to as securables. As you can see, principles can fall under, at Windows level, SQL Server level, database level, and then they can basically secure various things all the way from the server down to the schemas, tables, views, functions, procedures, entire databases. Everything can be actually secured. Now, it's important for you to understand that SQL Server refers to an account that is connected to it as a login. That login does not have to be a user account. That login can be, for instance, a Windows group account. It could be a global group in Active Directory. It could be a local group on a Windows server. So it's very flexible. It could also be an account that is created directly in SQL Server. Generally speaking, the way that you have to handle these logins or these account permissions is to have a group account, and this is typically at a server level. You have Active Directory groups that are being created, and you have various users in these groups, and you assign a login to that group, or you assign that group to a login. And then you assign the login various roles. Now, a role is really a collection of permissions, or things that the login can do to the database. For instance, it can create tables. It can read and write to the tables, or update, or delete, or things like that. But this is done, again, using a login account. And I want to emphasize that the login is not necessarily a single user account. Now, the distinction between Windows level and SQL Server level is something we have been working with already. When I log into my machine right here, I'm logged in with a student account, which is the account that actually installed SQL Server. And that student account has a corresponding login created in SQL Server, because it was the account that actually installed SQL Server. Now, we can go and assign additional user accounts logins in SQL Server, but the better approach is to actually group these user accounts and then assign a login to the entire group. Better than that, of course, in a domain environment, in an Active Directory environment, it's better to have it done at the directory level and then assign the group at the directory level, and then assign that group to a login. We'll take a look at all of these just so it's clear. And I will have this picture available for you too. You can follow the links in the description to get it. But let's go ahead and get started and take a look at this. So I'm going to bring up SQL Server Management Studio right here. And I'm going to go inside. First of all, I'm going to collapse all this. And we will be taking a look at a lot of things here. Notice that there is a security folder here, which I will expand so you can see it. And underneath that, you have logins. I also, if I were to say expand AdventureWorks LT 2019, let me collapse these tables. You can see that there's a security folder underneath that. And underneath that, you have these users. We'll take a look at all of these things. You also have various roles that are available, as you can see. The security folder underneath a database applies to that database. The security folder, which is sitting outside of databases at the same level, is for the server itself. And of course, this is a higher level, so this can actually have more control than the one that you have on a database. You can actually have security for multiple databases, but obviously getting down to the database level is more granular. You can see under logins that I have that student account and also the built-in administrator account of Windows, which I added during the installation. So these two have administrative accounts already. let's actually go to computer management, and this is a local server, so this is not part of Active Directory. I'm going to go to computer management right here, and I'm going to create a user account. Notice it's a local user. So I'm going to right click and create a new user. I will call the username bbunny, full name Bugs Bunny, and no description necessary. Password, let me give it a password. I don't want to make this expire. There you go, created. Just because this account is created doesn't mean that this account has any rights whatsoever to SQL Server. Let us actually close this, and I'm going to log off and log in with Bugs Bunny. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to choose sign out. And click here, and I will pick Bugs Bunny. Okay, wrong password. This might take a little while to log in the first time. Okay, I am logged in here, and I'm going to go to SQL Server Management Studio. There it is. And this is going to take a while the very first time under this login, which is Bugs Bunny, to come up. Here it is coming up. As you can see, it is up and it's trying to log in with the user bbunny. Let's try it. Notice it says it cannot connect. All right, the login failed for user bbunny. That's because while Bugs Bunny is an account in Windows, it has absolutely no rights in SQL Server. There is no corresponding login for Bugs Bunny. Let us go ahead and close this. Let me resize it while I'm here. I'm going to sign out. And sign back in as student. Let's start SQL Server Management Studio. And let's connect. What I can do is I can go to my securities and right-click logins and choose to create a new login. This one for Bugs Bunny. What's the login name? So I'm not going to type anything in here. I'm going to search, and I will search for bbunny. There it is. I do want Windows authentication, which is great. Down below it says what's the default database. I'll make the default database AdventureWorks LT 2019. Over here on the left hand side I have some server roles. Notice the public is by default selected, which basically allows Bugs to log in and nothing more. All right, as you can see, we have roles at the server level where Bugs Bunny can do things. For instance, can create databases if I give him DB creator. Be very careful about giving anyone sysadmin, because this role by itself can do anything to the server and all databases. So be very careful with this one. I'm not going to give Bugs any of this. I'm going to go to user mapping over here, and over here you can actually see that you have some control over the databases. I'm going to click AdventureWorks LT 2019, and I'm going to give Bugs Bunny the ability to read and write data to that. And let's say to publishers. So I'm going to select publishers, and I'm going to give DB data writer, DB data reader to Bugs Bunny for that, and click OK. Bugs Bunny is here, and we can now go ahead and let me not sign out. Let me just lock this account and then log back in as Bugs Bunny. Should be a little faster. Let me go ahead and go back to SQL Server 2018 tools here and start the SQL Server Management Studio. Here it comes. And this time I'm going to click connect and I'm successful because Bugs Bunny now actually has a login. However, Bugs Bunny is restricted. For instance, if I right click and try to create a new database, it actually, and I wish they would fix this so you don't get all the way over here, but I can go over here and create a database called Looney, or at least attempt to. And notice what happens is it says, sorry, you can't do that because he doesn't have that ability. However, Bugs Bunny's account can go to the AdventureWorks, can look at the tables. So for instance, I can right click Sales LT Customers and choose Select Top 1000 Rows, and it's perfectly fine because we gave Bugs Bunny DB data reader, and of course, you can also insert, etc. He also has the same abilities with publishers, but we didn't give Bugs Bunny any access to Northwind. So as you can see, if I try to access that, it says, sorry, it is not accessible. Let me go ahead and lock this account and go back to student. As I mentioned before, it is not usual to give an access to just a user account. So I'm going to go to computer management here, and I am going to create, say, 2 additional accounts. So let me go over here, and I'm going to create a new user, dduck, Daffy Duck, and putting the password. And let's do ppig for Porky Pig. I want to grant both of these users access to SQL Server. What I'm going to do, however, I'm going to go to groups. I'm going to create a new group and I'm going to call it Loonies. And I'm going to add dduck and ppig. And let's say bbunny. Even though Bugs Bunny has his own account, I'm just going to add him in here too. And there we are. Now that I'm logged in as student, I'm going to go back to the logins. I'm going to create a new login. And when I search, I'm going to actually search for Loonies, the actual group. Notice it says there's a cannot be found, etc. And this does happen. I want you to see that. I'm going to click locations here and take a look at that. That's perfectly fine. Then I'm going to click object types and notice that groups are unchecked. I'm not sure why it's always been like that, but I'm going to check it and check names again. And of course, now it works. I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to come down here, set the default database to AdventureWorks 2019. And I am going to go to server roles and give this group DB creator. And under user mappings, I am going to go to AdventureWorks 2019 and I'm going to give AdventureWorks 2019 DB data writer, DB data reader, and under, let's say, Northwind, we're also going to give DB data reader, DB data writer, and click OK. All right, so notice the login doesn't say Bugs Bunny or Daffy Duck or Porky Pig. It says Loonies. Let's actually log in with one of those accounts. Let's say Daffy Duck. So I'm going to lock over here. And I'm going to go in as Daffy Duck this time. Again, this being the first time, it will take a little bit of time perhaps for it to log in. We're logged in as Daffy. Let me go to SQL Server Tools and start SQL Server Management Studio. Again, the first time it does take a little bit longer than usual for it to come up, but it should be coming up momentarily. Here it comes. All right, now notice we're trying to log in with Daffy Duck, and I'm going to click connect, and everything is fine. Even though I did not create a login specifically for Daffy Duck, I can because there's one for the group that Daffy's a member of. Also, notice that because we gave the database server level or the server level role of being able to create databases, if I create a database called Looney this time, it actually works fine because I'm logged in as Daffy. Now, mind you that Bugs Bunny can do that too now because Bugs is a member of this group, and these permissions do add up unless there's a deny of some kind somewhere. Deny overwrites everything. But I can go into Northwind. Notice I have access. But if I want to go to, say, publishers, I don't have access. Bugs Bunny does by himself, but Daffy and Porky are part of Looney's, and we did not give access to them for the publishers. What I like to do is to also illustrate this concept at the Active Directory level. So that's what we're going to do in the next video. I want to create groups at Active Directory levels. I have a server created that's Active Directory. I have a SQL Server that's member of it, and desktop. So that's what we're going to do for the next one. And then come back and discuss some additional security features with SQL Server. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share with loved ones and friends. Thanks for being a great audience. See you in the next video.